Welcome, my Mercurial mercenaries. This is a quick video to explain the creation of a song I posted recently called Lush. This is a song, again, similarly to a few songs we've spoken about before. This is a song I wrote a couple of decades ago, to be fair. And it's a song that the general public took to their hearts. And this was quite a successful song for me. So in terms of being able to quantify as much as anybody ever can what a success is, this song, Lush, was a success. Now, you may have noticed when you were listening to it that it's based around a kind of driving organ riff, not sexually. And this is kind of tied up in what the song is about, right? But a long time ago, in a galaxy, well, this galaxy, this planet, it was me. I was given an old toy organ, again, not sexually, an old toy organ by a girl that I knew. And this was like a red plastic or wooden thing. I remember it had a sticker of a kangaroo on it. But it was like a Bon Tempi organ thing. Like a reed organ. One of those ones that you switch on and it goes and you press the keys. And this was the organ that in the late 90s I wrote a lot of songs on, because back then we didn't have computers. Well, there were computers, but they all had like cogs in them spinning around. We didn't have digital audio workstations. We had guitars. We had physical things. And I had an acoustic guitar, that guitar, and a tape player. And I would record chord progressions on the guitar, and then I'd use this red toy organ, not a sexual thing, press play on the tape player, the guitar chords would play, and I'd work out the melodies on this organ. And it came to the point where most of the songs from that era used that organ, not sexually, but no one else ever heard the organ. So when we went to the studio to record this song, I brought along the red toy organ. We mic'd it up, and there it is on the finished piece, the red toy organ, playing throughout the whole song. It's the foundation of the song. So straight in with the acoustic guitar. And then this main riff. Is that red organ. Now, I suppose just shifting a little bit in the conversation here. When it came to the day of this recording, this guitar here was deemed by the producer not to be up to scratch. So I hired a really, really decent acoustic guitar. It was the kind of guitar that I could never afford to buy, but I turned up at the shop, I pointed at the most expensive guitar and said, "Can I just borrow that one for the day? Here's some money." So the guitar you hear on this recording is a really nice guitar. And although I've mentioned the organ as the melodic driving force of the song, the first thing you hear is that guitar, and that guitar plays throughout. And also, if you notice, an orchestra as well. This isn't a small song. I should have a trumpet to blow now. I don't know what I'm doing now.
Hassle me, you're a lost soul. We could be lost together. You kiss me. You're too hungry, I forget. I didn't want to wake you. Hustle me.
Right. So far so good, right? It's your standard indie acoustic, written in the late 90s. It's your Radioheads and your Travises or whatever. Not saying I was influenced by those necessarily. I mean, I'm influenced by everything. And when it comes to this song, film especially, funny enough, film more than music. But it was a time And I'd been through listening to Massive Attack and Portishead and Tricky. It was a time when you felt like a song wasn't a song if it didn't have some sort of drum loop in it or electronic drums. And at this point in the song, the first drummy thing that comes in is, it's not even a drum loop, it is a sequence drums from the Korg Triton that's behind me over there, which in its day, that was the keyboard. You watch any programme, any Top of the Pops or a Jules Holland show from the late 90s, early noughties, that keyboard there will be in shot. Usually with black tape taped over the Korg bit, because no one wanted a copyright strike even back in those days. So this drum beat that comes in here is off the Korg, filtered off the Korg.
What a wonderful future you show us. Her face and open wounds. The edges are so clean.
It's just building and building. And if you notice, at this point, we've brought a little bit of electronic drums in, but there's no bass. So we've got no real drums and no bass at this point, right? That's the real drums entering. Nuanced. Very gentle. And now, in. Full drums in. Full drums in with bass. Now, what I particularly like there, I mean, this drummer, he was the best drummer I've ever worked with, and he was one of the best drummers I've seen, one of the best scrubbers, and he said then. He was one of the best drummers I've really seen in real life. I've worked with some, at some point in time, you've got to blow your own trumpet. Yeah, right, it's just blow trumpets. What was I going to say? Right, what I like here is the nuance. When he comes in, he's very gentle. He just sort of mimics the electronic drums. But then just before he brings the full drums in, he clicks his sticks together. It's just, that is intelligent drumming. Listen to that again.
I promise you.
Right?
I promise you.
Right. Now, at this point, we're going to get to the main thing we're going to talk about in this video, which is the bass line, all right? But before we get to the bass line, let me just talk a little bit about, this is one of the songs that I'm not going to spend too much time dwelling on the lyrics for. I think they can certainly be whatever you want them to be, and they've always been a struggle for me to understand. They're heavily influenced by film. There's the idea of destruction of a person, rebuilding of a person. It means nothing and everything. It's like a collage. It's like a collage of dialogue and scraps. And it really can be whatever you want it to be. But I think, like, hindsight's 20/20, all right? And I think in hindsight, it's no surprise that I used the organ that this particular girl gave me for this song. And it's kind of wrapped up in pain. But with the space of 20 years, I can just hear it as something quite beautiful now. Whereas perhaps it was quite painful to sing at one point. We've got constants through the song. We've got the acoustic guitar. We've got the strings. Once the drums come in, listen to those drums. They're so nuanced through the song. Honestly, truly, truly fantastic drumming. And I think I was probably at the top of my game when it came to the vocals, just as there was no auto-tune used on this song. I've never used auto-tune, but there was no auto-tune used on this song. So there is a particular high note that we'll come to later that I had to sing for real. And I listened to it today and it just sounds good. It always sounds like, as it approaches, even though it's recorded and it was a moment in time and it will forever be the same. It can't change. It always sounds like I'm not going to quite make it, which I quite like. I think it was my drummer who said that to me at the time. When he was listening to it back, he says, I like it because it sounds like you're going to falter. It sounds like you're going to falter. But we're moving on now to what I'm going to tell you is the actual driving force of this song. And the thing that makes this song. Because structurally, it's relatively simple. It's got an intro, it's got a verse, it's got a chorus section, it's got a kind of vocal bridge, and it's got an outro. So it's relatively simple. But it's the bass, and it's the bass line that morphs the song throughout and constantly keeps it changing, right? Which we'll talk about. And you can hear it's coming here. It's just looping around underneath.
Wound around the neck like a choker. Edges are so clean.
Now, let's just talk about regrets for a minute, because there are so many things going on in this song. And there's only really one regret I've got, and it might not be a universal regret for everyone who hears this song, right? But
round the neck like a choker. Edges are so clean.
I'm just listening to that tinkly little Smithsy guitar in the background. There's like an electric, very clean, lovely, chorusy electric going on in the background. But if I had one regret, and I've been listening to it today, wondering whether this regret still stands, but I bring a on the electric guitars, and although it sounds good instrumentally, I'm not sure, I think it just detracts slightly from the vocals. Right, so it's going to come in a minute, right? There.
Destroyed or scarred, we see it through.
Oh, so I am. Unbelievable. I've got my headphones on, right? But I haven't turned the volume down. Idiot. Sorry about that. So, even then, as I was criticising those electric guitars, they didn't sound so bad. And it's that layering and layering and layering and nuance. But what I do like there is the swing of the drums, and it's da 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 da, boom da. There is a swing there. This song was performed to a click track, but the drummer had the ability to still swing around the click. There was no punching in or overdubbing. There was no time aligning. It was simply, there's a click, and he was just swinging around it. Just listen to the swing of that break there. Listen to that. Hang on.
Wound around the neck like a choker. Edges are so clean and damaged.
Right, here it comes.
Destroyed or scarred, we see it through.
Right, and also, this is like talking about the styles of the people involved. Basically, I write it and I play everything, all right? But there is a drummer, and this drummer, most drummers will ride the ride cymbal. This drummer would often ride the crash. It's not unique, but it's certainly powerful.
But I've got a feeling that I'm a little late. Girl with grey eyes.
Running through the song still, that reed organ. Luckily, we've got to be fair to you here, luckily, it was in tune. For a toy organ, it was dead in tune. I was only thinking about this today. What would I have done if the organ was slightly out of tune? I'd have had to have change the speed of the tape around it. God.
You're not a lush. I asked around.
So here, at this point, we bring the electronic drums back in and I filter them in. So I bring it, I open the filter as this little section goes through. And in fact, when I say this is a simple song, this is a bridge section, and then in a minute we've got the heavy bridge section. There's quite a lot going to it. It's a long song and there's quite a lot to it.
You're not a lush. I asked around. Nobody knows that much.
Right.
You pull your blind down. You're not a lush.
And then we all come back in again.
Give it back to me.
Now, there is something interesting going on there. This is something that I stole from Riders of the Storm by The Doors. And if you listen to that song, the vocal line on it by Jim Morrison is so ghostly and it really hits you. It's atmospheric. It kind of makes you want to cry. And it's because he says, there's a killer on the roam. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. Right, that's not the only vocal. He overdubs on top. Riders on the storm. Riders on the storm. There's a killer. Girl, you gotta love your man. All the vocals are also backed by a whispered vocal, right? And if you listen to this bit here, that's what I did. So I've stolen it, but that's why it sounds slightly ethereal. Just listen to that again.
You're not a lush. I asked around. Nobody knows that much. You pull your blind down. You're not a lush. Give it back to me.
Just trying to work out where I did it. I think I do it on nobody knows that much. You pull your blind down. Hang on.
Nobody knows that much.
Yeah.
You pull
Right.
your blind down.
So now I've told you that, right? Nobody knows that much. And I also go, nobody knows that much, right? So.
You're not a lush. I asked around. Nobody knows that much. You pull your blind down. You're not a lush. Give it back to me. Just like that, everybody wants a piece of me. But I've got a feeling.
And obviously we've got the standard backing vocals. I've got a feeling that I'm a little late. And I'm backing that with, I got a feeling. So when you've got, I've got a feeling, and I've got a feeling, you don't necessarily want to do that sort of thing on verses where you're being emotional. But where you're trying to fill the sound out, it's suddenly the song just does that.
Give it back to me. Just like that, everybody wants a piece of me. But I've got a feeling that I'm a little late. I'd like to put a smile back on your face. I get the feeling
Drop it right out.
I never really knew you. Girl with grey
Right, so that's the big note, okay? Girl with grey eyes. And it's not falsetto, it's full voice. Girl with grey eyes. And what I like is, as I come down on eyes, bloody hell, we just bring a little bit of distortion in to welcome the next part of the song, which is distorted. Let's just listen to what the other instruments are doing during my girl with grey eyes. Hang on.
your face. I get the feeling I never really knew you. Girl with grey eyes.
distortion.
I'm going over this dead place like all the others.
Do a lot of volume swell on the guitar at the end. Now, this bit here, I made this interesting, in my opinion anyway, by introducing an electric guitar here, playing bow, 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 and the sound I was going for, the sound I asked for, was the same. I wanted to get the same sound that Jeff Barrow, whatever he's called, uses in Glory Box by Portishead. That's the sound I was going for. And I wanted it just to be like a massive guitar sound picked with single notes. And I think it works, and that's probably my favourite, along with that heavy part just blows me away every time. My own song blows me away. We're allowed to, look, if no one, look, remember this, guys. No one else is ever going to blow your trumpet. You might as well blow it yourself.
Like all the others.
And what I like there, which I only really noticed today, bear in mind I don't go listening to this song all the time, I've just sort of pulled it from the archives. We've got, when I go, like all the others, so that whole section there is distorted, alright? Look. There's a slight bit of distortion on the vocals. You've got the bow, 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 bow on the guitar. The drummer's just going for it, as usual. Also, the bass line is all over the place. But all in all, it's like a cacophony that does, it comes together. And rather than do that, it comes together and just fits like two nicely planed pieces of wood. So for It's a Dead Place, take all the distortion off, and we have it really lovely and open. It's a dead place. And then I think when I say, like all the others, like all the others, when I say like all the others, we double it with the distortion, and that just sounds like mwah!
Like all the others.
Right. So my point is, it's constantly evolving. So you can have a song, right? And when you start writing songs, you'll pick out some chords, you'll sing some words over the top, you'll play together as a band. Just getting through the song is the most important thing. And having a verse and a chorus and trying to make it catchy. But what you end up realising is that you need to have aspects of the instrumentation, something that keeps evolving throughout the song to hold your interest. If you're going to write a song that's 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long, it needs to have like a journey. You need like a roadmap for your own song. And although I'm about to talk about the bass line, if you listen to all the instruments, and especially the drums, everything's constantly going up and up and up. And now we get to an outro section. I don't see anything else in this song now after all the others, like all the others. That's it. I can then stand back and just start playing. Now, funny enough, the song fully evolves now with the bass line, which I'll talk about in a minute. But especially now. One of the best things I ever did, those last 20 seconds, and this. I mean, I will talk about it, right? But after there's so much, so it's just so true. Right, listen to this. Right. So this is like the outro, right? So we've still got the going through the song. We've got the bass evolving, like I said. Right. I make a choice here to just hold the organ right through. This is, I think this is brave for me to do this. Just to hold that one note right through. And the thing that makes that interesting is the notes the bass then chooses to play underneath that single note. Just listen to that again. I'll explain it in a minute, but this bit. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll let it run to the end and then I'll talk about the bass. But for me, this is just, the song has done that. Completely that. And now we're gonna do that. And I'm making some quite brave choices in my notes there if you listen to that. But now what happened there at the end when we got the strings, the strings just ran out and stopped. Not chosen for that to happen, that's just where they stopped, and the organ was still running underneath, and rather than stop the whole song where it should stop, we let the organ carry on running, and it is an accidental ending, which I thought was great. I think it was like a door slamming sound at the very end. But even something like the way the song ends, I think that's an actual, I think the drummer's just shaking the tambourine. So that cut, so it's like a double ending. It was half accidental. Now, let me just explain a little bit about the bass guitar through this song, right? I don't really have time to play musical instruments anymore, unfortunately. So, and you see the bass guitar in the background of my videos and never touch the bloody thing. But I picked it up today. I haven't played that song for a long time. So I had to quickly try and remember how I would have played it. Can't remember exactly, but I remembered enough to be able to explain some aspects of that song, right? So let me just, maybe we could do this. Hang on, let's do this. Let's just angle that a bit downwards, all right? The main bass line of the song is, I think I played it up here, which is interesting in its own way because most bass lines, you're playing the bass. So the majority of this song is played really high up the neck. I'm not joking, like really high up the neck. Now, I had a bit of a reputation at the time, not sexually, for coming up with bass lines that were interesting, melodic. Again, it sounds like I'm blowing my own trumpet, but people, I think there is a way of playing every instrument in a manner that has at least an aspect of originality to it. And you really can consider every note that you play. And I think what tends to happen, and it can work, and it often works, is that people just play something that works. It gets them through the day. People like the songs. What does it matter? But you can treat music like science. It's just two different approaches. But the majority of the song is up here. It's like a looping.
There's something angelic about her, wound around the neck like a choker.
The edge. Anyway, that's what it does that all the way through, right? But then what happens is when you get to a point like, I got a feeling that I'm a little late, to give that power, that's when you start to go to some low notes. Because you're always up here, when you go down, not sexually, but just that, right, ordinarily, big deal, isn't it? That's just the bass guitar for you. Anyone with that, boom, right? But sounds so much more powerful after you've been playing up here. And also, when you've been doing this down here, I got a feeling that I'm a little late, I'd like to put a smile back. When you've been playing down here and you go back up to, it sounds novel and carries the song forward. But by always playing the main bass riff up here, what it allows you to do is eventually introduce those notes lower on the neck. So there comes a point in the song. Right, so let's just listen to the bit where I do that. Hang on. Right now. Right. So I do a little bit of and then into probably the most important part for evolving the song. We go right down to the bottom of the guitar to play the riff. But what we do is we don't play the riff as you expect the riff to be played. So we go down to playing so what you would expect to be played there would be a repetition of which would be but I don't do that. I change the root, but I stick to the same melody. And when you have the bass line evolving underneath the instrumentation which doesn't change, the ear picks up on it and you think something, if you're not a musician, you just think, oh, that's quite interesting. If you're a musician, you probably hear it and understand what I've done. But no one needs to understand. No one needs to understand anything. You either like something or you don't. And it's even after the explanation of a song, it's true that you could still dislike it. But I think at least now you will have an understanding of how what sounds like a relatively simple song actually has so much thought dedicated to it. And it might be the case that loads of songs that you think, or no, let's face it, it might be the case that loads of songs that I think are simple have actually got much more to them. Hopefully, you got just a little insight into another song of mine, and it might be the case that you at least understand that songwriting isn't always simply throwing stuff together. It can be, and for other songs in this series, Curity Twisted, Peppermint Strays, they came easily, all right? Not sexually. They came easily. They were there in 15 minutes. Something like this one took a lot of work. And it's often the case that people appreciate more the songs that took you 15 minutes to write. And it becomes annoying that the ones that you dedicated your life to, no one acknowledges. At least with this song, people liked it. It had success. And it's probably something I should be proud of. Until next time. Over and